Whenever we talk about the chattel slavery, which took place in the North and South Americas, and specifically for this book that we're reading, the slavery which took place in North America, I do think it is very important that we articulate that the majority of white people did not have slaves. The majority of European colonizers did not practice slavery, specifically because slavery was not something that the average or working class or poor person could participate in. It was something that was done by the elite in from these nations, whether it be the elite from the Spain or the elite from France or the elite from Britain or what would eventually become the elite from America. And when you look through the history of civilization, you will find that the elite have, in one way or another, found ways to enslave populations for longer than there has not been a practice of slavery going on. And so we find, as we read through the Trail of Tears, that the Cherokee also participated in the practice of slavery which took place in the United States of America. And in this book, it doesn't trace back exactly how the Cherokee got involved in enslaving Africans, but you do get a glimpse into the way that the Cherokee practiced their slavery of Africans, and it mirrors the practice that was done by their white counterparts or by their European counterparts. And it's important to note that before Spanish contact, there were different nations in North and South America which participated in slavery. And so whenever we're talking about the wrongs of slavery or the wrongs of the practice of slavery, it's not simply about the wrongs of the practice of slavery for Black people or the descendants of enslaved Africans, but it's about the wrong of this practice in totality, in a whole. And what we see take place in the United States of America is just, truthfully, at that time period, just a manifestation of all the forms and practices of slavery that came before it. And so we see the Cherokee, as they are struggling with assimilating to the United States of America and assimilating to this new culture, and as they are struggling against sort of trying to rebuff some aspects of it, we see that some of the elite of the Cherokee have begun to have slaves. The main characters of this specific narrative, we see that they engage in the practice of slavery. And we see that as they engage in the practice of slavery, it builds up their stature within the Cherokee Nation, or their stature builds up at the same time as this is happening. We read about the practice of stealing slaves that some of the Cherokees took part in. And we even read about, when the Trail of Tears takes place, the slaves being brought with the Cherokee as they locate to their new home. And so it's very important, in closing, that we remember that, and I think this is why this book was a very important book for our first Rockford reading. It's very important that we remember the deep connectivity that all of these different struggles in the United States of America have had. And the struggle of, and I want to say this as well, at the same time that some of the Cherokees were practicing enslaving Africans, you see in Florida, the Seminoles practicing or targeting the practice of slavery by being a safe haven for runaway slaves and by attacking some of the plantations that were in that area. And at that time, Florida was controlled by the Spanish. So we see through just this small glimpse in the Trail of Tears how the destinies and the cultures and the futures of the Spanish, indigenous nations of America, Africans, and Britain or British or England have been intertwined from the very origins of this country.